The red glow of the bedside clock read 3:14 a.m. Elena lay rigid, staring at the ceiling fan, cutting lazy shadows across the plaster. Beside her, Mark was a warm, rhythmic mountain beneath the duvet. He was the heavy sleeper in their marriage. She was the insomniac watchdog. For the first 5 years, his sleep-talking had been a source of amusement. He'd mutter about spreadsheets, argue with imaginary baristas, or call out the name of their golden retriever, Buster. It was nonsensical, harmless nocturnal static. But lately the static had tuned into a frequency Elena didn't recognize. It started a month ago. The mumbling sharpened into diction. The fragmented words coalesced into complete grammatical sentences. He wasn't just dreaming anymore, he was speaking. Tonight it was loud enough to wake her from a shallow doze. "No, the timeline is crucial," Mark murmured, his voice devoid of its usual daytime warmth. It was flat, clinical. Elena held her breath, turning her head infinitesimally on the pillow to hear better. A long pause. Then a sigh, heavy and performative. "Your Honor, I understand how it looks. But looks can be deceiving." Elena furrowed her brow. Mark was a mid-level marketing manager. His most intense professional conflicts involved font choices on quarterly reports. Why was he addressing a judge? He shifted onto his back, his profile sharp against the faint light filtering in from the street lamp outside. His eyes remained closed, locked in REM sleep. "I got home at 6:45. The receipt from the Thai place confirms it. I have it right here." He tapped the mattress 3 times with his index finger, miming the action of presenting evidence. Eleanor's stomach gave an uneasy lurch. They got Thai food every Thursday. He always got home at 6:45. It was mundane reality, recontextualized into something defensive. She reached for her phone on the nightstand, sliding it silently from its charger. She opened a voice memo app and pressed record. She told herself she was doing this to play it back for him later, to tease him about his secret life as a TV lawyer. But deep down, a cold worm of anxiety was wriggling in her gut. "We were happy," Mark said, his voice cracking slightly. The shift in tone was jarring. It sounded practiced, like an actor trying to hit a mark. "Everyone knew that. Why would I ever hurt her?" Elena stared at the phone screen, watching the crimson waveform spike with his words. Hurt her. Who was her? "She was agitated that night," Mark continued, his cadence picking up speed. He was arguing now, pushing back against an unseen interrogator. "She was pacing the kitchen, paranoid. She said someone was watching the house. I told her she was being ridiculous. I went upstairs to take a shower to cool off. That's when I heard the glass break." Elena sat up very slowly, propping herself against the headboard. Her heart hammered against her ribs. He was describing their kitchen. He was describing their routine, but the context was a nightmare. "I ran down. The back door was open. She was just gone, and there was so much blood by the island." Elena looked towards their bedroom door, leading to the hallway, leading down to that kitchen island. Mark suddenly thrashed, kicking off the covers. He wasn't awake, but he was deeply distressed in his dreamscape. He began to whisper fiercely. "No, not like that. Too defensive. Try again. Sadder. More broken." The blood drained from Elena's face. He wasn't just reliving a nightmare. He was direction himself. He was rehearsing. He settled back down, taking a deep, shuddering breath. When he spoke again, his voice was a masterclass in devastated grief. It was the voice of a man whose world had ended. "I loved my wife more than anything. The idea that I could, but I am responsible for her absence it's unbearable. I am a victim here too. My wife." The waveform on Elena's phone flattened as Mark fell silent, slipping back into deeper, quieter sleep. Elena didn't move. She couldn't. The silence in the room was suddenly deafening, heavier than any noise he could make. It wasn't gibberish. It wasn't work stress. It was a testimony, perfected, polished, and practiced in the safety of his own subconscious, night after night. He was working out the kinks in his alibi, adjusting the emotional tone of his denial. He was preparing for the biggest presentation of his life, a murder trial. And she was currently lying in bed next to the defendant, realizing with dawning, paralyzing horror that she was the only other person named in his speech. She was the victim. The clock clicked over to 3:25 a.m. Beside her, Mark let out a soft, contented snore. He was sleeping the peaceful sleep of a man who had a solid plan for the future. Elena moved her thumb and pressed stop on the recording. The sound of the click seemed to echo like a gunshot in the quiet room. Mark stirred. His breathing hitched, then normalized. But then, without opening his eyes, a slow, sleepy smile spread across his face. "Did you get all that?" He mumbled into the pillow, his voice thick with sleep, but terrifyingly lucid. "I think the grieving husband bit is finally landing. If you're finding this helpful so far, a quick like really helps the channel out.